I think we have to address the elephant in the room because I had a little bit of an accident, and it's actually quite a little funny story. As some of you might know, I'm moving houses soon, so I thought let's just throw one big party before moving houses, of course. And there was Jägermeister, a lot of Jägermeister, way too much Jägermeister. And I have a little pond in my garden. And what happens when you get a lot of guys, a lot of drinks, there might have become a moment that somebody falls into the pond. And as so happened, and it's here in Holland, it's like 2 degrees, so it's freaking cold. So I had to go upstairs to get the clothes for the guy. And I also had like way too many drinks. And I thought, let's go quickly upwards and downwards the stairs. And from the top of the stairs, I fell. So that's why my face looks as hideous as it does today. But let's not take away from what we're going to do today. Let's dive into the project of my track the last time with Lockdown. So let's dive in, shall we? And this project is a little bit less pretty than usually because it's a collab, and the collab you always send stuff back and forth. And like these longer ones are the stamps that Lockdown sent to me. I think it's good to start with what actually made me want to do this collab with Lockdown, because Lockdown sent me this break with, let's hear it here, with the vocal.
This is the last time you say goodbye. This is the last time I will cry. So listen to the beat of awesome sound. This beat is so crazy. We'll never.
And the first thing that I did is because usually, let's see if I can, I hope it's still in this original vocal.
Listen to the beat of this awesome sound.
Yeah, I found that hideous, like that ending, because in my head it needed to be like awesome sounds. So I modified the vocal, and I did that inside the, let's see, I believe I did it in here. Yes, inside the clip. I just made a little bit of a transposition, like automation, so the vocal now, instead of going up at the end, it goes down. So it's a nice, more nicer to the ears ending.
This awesome sound. This awesome sound. This beat is so crazy. We were never meant to be. Why can't you see I'm there without you, baby?
So yeah, this break is all locked down. So then I had to come up with a melody, and like pretty quickly I came up with that. That was like the main melody. So the lead is. And for this one I want to go a little bit harder, so the leads are a little bit more screechy than normal. So yeah, all those things together, I think it's just a really nice, playful melody. For this track, I didn't want to reinvent the wheel. I just wanted to have something that's playful, that's fun. And if you've seen the video where Blasterjack was playing it, is that the people seem to think it's fun too. Now, afterwards, I really wanted to do something a bit more old school with the drop, and I had some kind of a triplet kind of melody in my head. So I used this screechy lead. And what you'll notice is that there's some pitching going on, and that's being done with like just some pitch automation. Make sure that you be really careful with this, because if you do a bit too much, then you will be in between different kind of notes and you won't be in the right key anymore. But yeah, for here, it's like actually a trick that I learned back in the days. Tom Fall is a trance artist. He just used to do that a lot, just pitch stuff up when the drop is playing. And then there's always this part where the combination of the main melody, in my tracks at least, comes together with the drop melody. And then in this case it was. I just really like those kind of melodic interludes in a way. Let's move on to the kick. the kick is actually a few kicks. I have like the main kick is a hardstyle kick, which I've made I found a sample which I then put into Nimble. The Nimble is a great way to separate the punch from the tail. So it's a great way to pitch it, but in my opinion, a lot of these hardstyle kicks, at least that I've found, I made some in the past few weeks myself, where I did do some extra punchiness, but usually the ones that you find on the internet, they're not the premium, the best ones. Because of course those hardstyle guys, they spend a lot of time on making their hardstyle kicks unique, and so they're not, of course, sharing them. So I had to do some tweaks to also give it some punch. So I had two kicks here. And one is this one. It's actually the original kick that Lockdown used, and I layered it with this one. It's just a really nice snappy kick with some really cool tonality. And then if you combine that with the hardstyle kick of like the hardstyle tail, it's just a real overall full kick drop. And if you then combine everything else in the drop,
This is the last time.
and yeah, that makes up the main drop. And then of course with hardstyle, I always like to do like a first drop. So when we go to the first drop, it actually the first drop that I made for it was just a vocal chop, but I let that here like the vocal chop that's in the second part now. That was actually that was actually the first idea that I had for the drop, but Tom from Dastic said that's a bit too empty still. So then what I came up with is to make that make that into the main lead of the track. So one lead is this one. And then the other one's a little bit more cleaner, but with more punch. Then I have also the lead layer to some extra character. And you can hear there's not a lot of high frequencies going on here. It's just really in the middle and just with a lot of reverb to give it a bit more body. And then the second part, of course, I start to introduce that triplet kind of vibe as well, because it's always important to guide the listener a little bit so that they already have some feeling of what's coming in the second drop. So now we combine first like just 4 to the floor, and then we go in triplets. And then combine that with the vocals. Yeah, it just gives a really cool vibe with it, in my opinion. Yeah, and I think for this track, it's one of these tracks that just came together really nice. And Lockdown adds some really cool atmospheres for the track, like this ones. Just for the build up, for the transitional part, like here. And I think this track, in a way, like seeing for a lot of producers to see that you don't need like 100,000 channels to make a track work. It's always like, is the basic idea good? And if you have like a vocal like this one, which is just a really cool straightforward vocal, which we actually got, I believe Lockdown got it from Producer Loops, but then we asked actually we weren't allowed to use it at first, but then we asked them to clear it for us so that we could use it.
This is the last time you say goodbye.
And if you got the main theme right, you don't need to use all kinds of bells and whistles to sell your song. It's like to sell the theme. Because it's already like you got the vocal, which is straightforward. You got the melody, which is just playful. Then you got a drop, which is doing something different than you usually do. Combine that with 140 BPMs instead of the usual 130 BPM that I'm usually at. I think it turns out in a really cool track, and I've seen some videos and it goes off totally live. So yeah, really happy with this track, and I hope you learned something from seeing how it's actually made. I really hope you enjoyed this video. I really hope this gives you some insight in that you don't have to use too many different channels to get a cool song. If you want to become part of a cool creative community, I have a link to my Discord below. And if you want some cool sounds each month, I also have a Patreon where I share my knowledge, but also a lot of the sounds that I use for my tracks. If you're into gaming, head over to Steam because my game is already now ready for wishlisting. But that's all for me, and I really hope you're having an awesome week, and I'll see you all on the next video. Take care, bye bye.